When you hear the word controversy, award shows might not be the first thing that comes to your mind. But that might change after today. That's because for the next 60 minutes, we're going to be taking a look at all the scandal and outrage that has plagued award shows over the years. And we're beginning with the granddaddy of all award shows, the Oscars.
And it was just phonetic spelling, but I didn't rehearse it that way.
So this was Goldie Hawn's fault.
Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 Oscar scandals.
It's actually made by South Korea. No, sorry.
For this list, we're looking at the most infamous moments in Academy Award history. Which Oscar scandal shocked you the most? Number 10, Present All 24 and Present All 23. The Oscars aren't just about recognizing iconic stars, but also hidden figures who make filmmaking possible. So many found it insulting in 2019 when the Academy announced that 4 categories wouldn't be presented live to shorten the ceremony.
As a director, without my cinematographer, without my editor, without hair and makeup, there is no movie.
In addition to receiving backlash from certain giants like Guillermo del Toro, this decision inspired the Present All 24 movement, courtesy of awards expert Amanda Spears. The Academy relented in this case. Under pressure from ABC, though, they revisited this idea in 2022, announcing that 8 of the now 23 categories would be pre-taped.
It's not live. It looks live!
All right.
With disrespectful moves like this, it's been argued that the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences and ABC are chasing a broader audience they'll never appeal to. The same has been said about the proposed popular film category and Oscars fan favorite.
It used to be that the Best Picture was also a popular picture for years and years and years. And I think that a new category kind of makes the Best Picture category seem less best.
Number 9, Rob Lowe and Snow White making music together. Even Rob Lowe criticized the popular film Oscar idea, and this is coming from someone who participated in another Oscar controversy.
Every February, you will see me on the list of Oscar embarrassments every year.
For the 1989 Oscars, producer Alan Carr enlisted Steve Silver to helm an overly long, cringe-worthy opening musical number based on his Beach Blanket Babylon musical review. Along with several Golden Age stars, the number featured Lowe singing a send-up of Proud Mary with Eileen Bowman as Snow White.
The Golden Age stars were not as you remember them.
Julie Andrews, Gregory Peck, and Paul Newman are just some of the names who declared the ceremony a, quote, embarrassment.
It wasn't very glamorous to see Dorothy Lamour being carried across the stage under the armpits by 2 guys.
Perhaps nobody was more appalled than Walt Disney Company president Frank Wells, resulting in legal action.
What's Rob Lowe doing singing and dancing? What's he doing with Snow White? Who is that old lady in the background?
Disney dropped the lawsuit after Academy President Richard Kahn apologized, but Lowe's sex tape scandal wouldn't help the matter.
These idiots couldn't even figure out how to say the Best Picture 2 years ago, and I'm still the problem?
Right? Number 8, abrupt Best Actor ending. It only makes sense to end the Oscars with Best Picture.
Saving the best for last, huh, Bart?
In 2021, though, the show closed with Best Actress and Best Actor. The producers likely wanted to leave viewers on an emotional high, with perceived frontrunner, the late Chadwick Boseman, being honored. Instead, the Oscar went to an absent Anthony Hopkins, who didn't want to travel from Wales to California. We understand why, since Hopkins was in his 80s and the ceremony occurred during a pandemic. Plus, Hopkins already had an Oscar and assumed Boseman would win. While Hopkins offered to zoom in, the producers refused. Hopkins later released an Instagram message, paying respects to Boseman.
Very grateful to the Academy and thank you. And I want to pay tribute to Chadwick Boseman, who's taken from us far too early.
The ceremony, however, ended on an awkward note that demonstrates why you shouldn't try to force moments.
This is how I honestly and really truly feel about it. There's no award that can validate his legacy.
Number 7, Jack L. Warner accepts Best Picture for Casablanca. Casablanca remains one of the most deserving Best Picture winners ever.
What about us?
We'll always have Paris. We didn't have, we lost it until you came to Casablanca. We got it back last night.
When I said I would never leave you.
there's just one thing that soured its victory. Hal B. Wallace, the film's producer and a key creative force, rose up to accept it. Before Wallace knew it, studio head Jack L. Warner was already on stage claiming the Oscar. A, quote, humiliated and furious Wallace tried making his way down the row, only to be blocked by the Warner family.
Let me at him! Let me at him! I'll tear him apart!
Wallace would depart from Warner Brothers the following month, and even 40 years later hadn't, quote, recovered from the shock. It'd be almost another decade until the Academy started crediting producers in Best Picture rather than the studio. Jack Warner eventually won Best Picture for My Fair Lady, which saw some controversy in the Best Actress race. Number 6. Alone Yet Not Alone Original Song nomination rescinded. The 2014 Best Original Song nominees had several hits, including Happy from Despicable Me 2 and eventual winner Let It Go from Frozen.
Let it go, let it go. I am one with the wind and sky.
When Alone Yet Not Alone was announced among the nominees, though, everyone asked the same question. What the heck is that?
You were nominated?
While the Academy has become known for recognizing under-the-radar works, this song and the film it stemmed from were obscure even by Oscar standards.
They had an oath to keep.
You'll never leave me. I promise.
As it turns out, co-writer Bruce Broughton just so happened to be a music branch member and a former Academy governor. Broughton also emailed branch members about his song, which the Academy deemed to be a breach of ethics. The nomination was thus revoked only a couple of weeks later, and then there were 4. Number 5. Elizabeth Taylor wins Best Actress for Butterfield 8. People don't always win Oscars for their most deserving work.
Why won't you face the truth?
Following 3 nominations for Raintree County, Cat on a Hot Tin Roof, and Suddenly Last Summer, Elizabeth Taylor finally won Best Actress for a movie she loathed, Butterfield 8.
You couldn't match what I've already turned down. A 180-foot yacht in the French Riviera, Van Goghs in every room.
Although it received mixed reviews, everybody was intrigued by the parallels between Butterfield 8 and Taylor's life. In the film, Taylor plays a promiscuous woman who has an affair with a married man. The media previously portrayed Taylor as a homewrecker due to her affair with Eddie Fisher, who was married to Debbie Reynolds.
Oh, I'm dizzy. Help me.
Shortly before the Oscars, Taylor nearly died from pneumonia, which many believe factored into her win. While Taylor graciously accepted, it was for a film that capitalized on a difficult chapter in her life. Number 4. Harvey Weinstein's Shakespeare in Love campaign.
What is the play and what is my part?
Remember when we said that the Academy shouldn't try forcing moments? The 1999 Oscars is another example. With Harrison Ford announcing Best Picture, it appeared that Indiana Jones would present an Oscar to Steven Spielberg for Saving Private Ryan. Instead, Ford read off Shakespeare in Love. This shocking upset didn't come out of nowhere, as Shakespeare had more nominations. However, the win can largely be attributed to producer Harvey Weinstein, whose aggressive campaign included spreading negative comments against the competition. According to DreamWorks' Terry Press, quote, "They tried to get everybody to believe that Saving Private Ryan was all in the first 15 minutes.
Maybe you should shut up."
Many think that Weinstein's mud-throwing tactics undermined the voting process. The win is only made more uncomfortable given what we know about Weinstein now. Number 3. La La Land. We mean Moonlight. We pity anyone who turned off their TVs right after La La Land was declared Best Picture of the Year.
I was worried at the beginning that people would think it was a prank.
As the musical's producers began to wrap up their acceptance speeches, it was announced that there had been a mix-up, and Moonlight actually won. Suddenly, the delayed response from presenters Warren Beatty and Faye Dunaway made much more sense. PricewaterhouseCoopers accountant Brian Cullinan mistakenly gave Beatty the Best Actress envelope instead. Cullinan probably should have been more focused on the envelopes and less preoccupied with Twitter.
He looked around. He looked over me. He looked inside the envelope again. I think he was hoping to find another card in there.
Time is ticking by.
Time is ticking by.
You say something.
Well, I said, "You're impossible."
You thought he's playing the crowd for the suspense.
Yeah, well, he's charming. You know, he makes you wait, and he's just the best in all those ways. But the show was going late, and I was trying to tell him, come on, let's get on with it. And I read the name of the film on the card, and it was the wrong name.
While the La La Land producers courteously stepped aside, Envelope Gate seemed to diminish what should have been a triumphant moment for the Moonlight team.
I thought, well, maybe this is a misprint, you know,
Yeah.
and then I shouldn't foul up the show just because someone made a little error.
Beatty and Dunaway returned to present Best Picture the following year, this time with the right envelope. Number 2, Oscars So White. When the 2014 Oscar nominees were announced, a lot of people noticed the lack of diversity, especially among the acting nominees. One of those individuals was April Reign, who launched the Oscars So White movement that same day. The hashtag returned the following year when the Academy once again overlooked numerous people of color. And these weren't isolated incidents.
And so when I look at the series of nominations of the Academy, it's not reflecting that beauty.
Hattie McDaniel became the first African American to win an Oscar, although she had to sit at a segregated table.
Just hold on and suck in.
Fast forward more than 70 years, and McDaniel is still among the select few people of color to win an Oscar. Oscars So White not only got many to evaluate the Academy's membership, which was roughly 94% white and 77% male at the time, but also Hollywood's diversity problem on the whole.
I can only play so many best friends or gang leaders.
Actor Idris Elba, who was overlooked for his role in Beasts of No Nation, addressed the diversity issue yesterday in the UK.
I knew there wasn't enough imagination, not yet, for the industry to be seeing me as a lead.
Before we unveil our top pick, here are some honorable mentions. Matt Stone and Trey Parker wearing Gwyneth Paltrow and J-Lo. The old guard was not pleased.
What kind of reactions were you
Phil
getting?
Collins was mad. Yeah, he was like, this is a very serious event. Yeah, but I mean,
He did not say
No, he
that.
really did.
No,
To
he
someone,
didn't.
not to us, but to someone right in front of us.
Bjork's Swan Dress. Well, now I've seen it all. Hey, that's the name of the song she got nominated for. Robert Opal Goes Streaking. Hey, the Oscar doesn't wear any clothes either. Michael Moore bowling for controversy. What's next, a documentary about George W. Bush? Oh, wait.
Thank you. Yeah, where were you at the Kodak Theater? I could have used you. If I get nominated again, tickets for everybody here.
Dr. Dolittle nominated for Best Picture. Pretty much proof that members can be wined and dined into nominating your movie.
They're all having very narrow escapes, like this one. There we are, that should do it. Good as new. There.
Number 1, not letting WatchMojo use clips from Oscar ceremonies.
So I am ordering you not to use that footage.
Okay, not really, but come on, Academy, this is free publicity.
We could do great things together.
Number 1, Marlon Brando's boycott.
We are a country that stands for freedom, for rightness, for justice, for everyone. It simply doesn't apply to those who are not white. It just simply doesn't apply.
Screenwriter Dudley Nichols initially wouldn't accept his Oscar for The Informer due to a Screenwriters Guild dispute. While Nichols did eventually accept the award, the same cannot be said about George C. Scott. The Best Actor winner didn't believe in the competition, seeing it as a, quote, detriment. Of all the individuals who declined their Oscars, none was more infamous than Marlon Brando for The Godfather.
I'm going to make him an offer he can't refuse.
While Brando accepted an Oscar years earlier for On the Waterfront, Sacheen Littlefeather took his place at the 1973 ceremony. She announced that Brando wouldn't accept the award due to the, quote, poor treatment of Native Americans in the film industry. This moment would shine a much-needed spotlight on the standoff at Wounded Knee. However, the Academy subsequently became stricter with proxy acceptances.
There have been nearly 400 treaties written by the United States in good faith with the Indians, and every single one of them was abrogated. Means broken or changed or altered.
No exceptions.
Have you ever watched an award show and thought that the wrong person won the award? Well, you're not alone. As a matter of fact, there is a mammoth amount of controversial award winners out there. And with our next list, we're going to find out the most contentious ones of them all. Check them out.
Well, crap. Didn't expect this.
Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 20 controversial award winners.
Louis C.K. won a Grammy for his 2020 comedy special in which he joked about the sexual misconduct revelations against him.
For this list, we're looking at recipients of various prestigious awards whose wins garnered high amounts of controversy, either at the time or later on. The controversy itself can be from a political or merely artistic standpoint. We're not necessarily arguing for or against these controversies so much as recognizing their existence. Any other faulty winners you can think of? Number 20. Game of Thrones wins Outstanding Drama Series, the 71st Primetime Emmy Awards. Well, at least we're not starting with a touchy subject or something. Sarcasm aside, to say that the 8th season of Game of Thrones was contentious would be an understatement.
You freed your brother. You committed treason.
I freed my brother. And you slaughtered a city.
Backlash was abound from the core fanbase, with complaints targeting rushed storylines, poor lighting, and, most of all, an unsatisfying conclusion.
Maybe we should give the dogs a vote as well.
I'll ask my horse.
While the show was consistently nominated each season for drama series and won its previous 3 outings, many labeled this award a legacy win not based on quality. Voters looking for quality definitely could have found it in other nominees like Better Call Saul, Killing Eve, or Ozark, to name a few. With the franchise's image still tainted years later, this decision stands out. Number 19. Layla wins Best Rock Song, the 35th Annual Grammy Awards. By all accounts, Layla is a classic rock song from the legendary Eric Clapton. But you might be wondering why a song from 1971 won a Grammy in 1993. Well, that's because Clapton included a version of the song on an acoustic album in 1992, which was recorded on MTV Unplugged. Again, we're not going to criticize Clapton's performance, but it might shock you to learn just what the acoustic version of Layla beat out for Best Rock Song. And no offense to the other nominees, but history will always look back at this as the time the Grammys passed up Nirvana's Smells Like Teen Spirit. The song is the band's seminal track, not to mention one of the greatest of all time. Number 18. Bohemian Rhapsody wins Best Film Editing, the 91st Academy Awards. Bohemian Rhapsody clearly has its fans, as evidenced by its near $1 billion box office draw. But just as many found themselves scratching their heads as it rolled through award season.
Well, that's the kind of song teenagers can crank up the volume in their car and bang their heads to. Bohemian Rhapsody will never be that song.
While we could focus on some other hardware it won, the win that's most baffling is arguably the Oscar for Best Film Editing. While editing is certainly a more niche category, many film fans criticized the decision, claiming the editing isn't even very good to begin with. Even the recipient, John Ottman, who's better known as a composer than an editor, recognized the blunder, claiming contrasting reshoots from different directors and studio interference prevented the possibility of a clean cut.
Here's how I cut it originally, and then here's what happens when too many cooks get in the kitchen and are paranoid about pace.
Number 17. Jeff Daniels wins Outstanding Lead Actor in a Drama Series, the 65th Primetime Emmy Awards. Don't get us wrong, we adore Jeff Daniels, but many found his Emmy win for The Newsroom to be somewhat reaching. For one thing, the show never took off like it probably should have, so Daniels' series premiere win could be indicative of the Emmys predicting lasting presence.
I'd have you winning it!
And what does winning look like to you?
More importantly, however, were the names he beat out for the award. Hugh Bonneville, for starters, changed his career forever with the advent of Downton Abbey. Meanwhile, this was Jon Hamm's 6th straight time not winning for Mad Men. And while he'd won 3 times before, we're sure a lot of fans agreed with Bryan Cranston of Breaking Bad's inner monologue at the ceremony when he dared them to
say my name.
Number 16. Kevin Costner wins Best Director, the 63rd Academy Awards. An actor directing themselves to a Best Director Oscar is nothing new. Heck, the 90s saw it happen 2 other times, but Kevin Costner winning for Dances with Wolves is one the Academy would probably like back. On the whole, the Best Picture winner has been labeled as being not good enough to win numerous awards, but the director honor is particularly egregious considering who didn't win. Namely, Martin Scorsese for Goodfellas.
I almost had him!
Plenty of people then and still do consider Goodfellas his magnum opus, so to pass up a legend such as Scorsese's best effort feels like an oversight. So much so that many attribute his eventual win for The Departed to be a makeup award.
I'm really sorry for your trouble, I swear to God I am. I'll get you out of this. I cannot do it overnight, but I will get you out.
Number 15, Shape of You wins Best Pop Solo Performance, the 60th Annual Grammy Awards.
And the Grammy goes to Shape of You, Ed Sheeran.
Ed Sheeran often seems to be America's sweetheart, but he was public enemy #1 after winning the 2018 Grammy for Best Pop Solo Performance. Sheeran was nominated alongside Kelly Clarkson, Kesha, Lady Gaga, and Pink, and many people felt that his win was undeserved, particularly in the midst of the Me Too campaign. Although song content shouldn't be a factor in a performance category, it inevitably was for some in this instance. Sheeran's song about the curves of a woman's body simply didn't compare to Gaga's Million Reasons or Kesha's Praying, which was inspired by her own troubles. The announcement was booed, as many saw the win as unwarranted and downright insulting.
Ed Sheeran could not be here tonight, so we accept this on his behalf.
Number 14, How Green Was My Valley wins Best Picture, the 14th Academy Awards. Today, Citizen Kane is considered by many to be the Citizen Kane of movies, obviously considering the namesake system of comparison. So the fact that it didn't win cinema's highest honor feels downright erroneous.
That's a mistake that will be corrected one of these days.
Now, this obviously puts a somewhat unfair onus on the actual Best Picture winner, How Green Was My Valley, which cannot help but pale in comparison.
I have come up here to tell you what I think of you all, because you're talking against my husband. You're a lot of cowards to go against him. He will do nothing against you, and he never has, and you know it well. How some of you smug-faced hypocrites, can sit in the same chapel with him, I cannot tell.
By all accounts, the John Ford drama is superb, but the fact that it hasn't stood the test of time among mainstream moviegoers is indicative of it being relatively undeserving of the top prize. At the end of the day, history will always look back on this decision as the time the Academy passed up the best of the best. Number 13, Steely Dan wins Album of the Year, the 43rd Annual Grammy Awards.
And the Grammy goes to Two Against Nature, Steely Dan.
While the Grammy Awards are typically seen as a popularity contest rather than a prestigious ceremony, the fact that Steely Dan won Album of the Year in 2001 is mystifying to many. 2000 was a fantastic year for music. Eminem was stirring up controversy and topping charts with the Marshall Mathers LP, and Radiohead was basically redefining music with their stellar album Kid A. Either of those two modern masterpieces were shoo-ins for Album of the Year, which is why so many people were left outraged when Steely Dan took the award for Two Against Nature. It left a lot of music fans upset, and all but ruined the reputation of the Grammys.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Number 12, Modern Family wins Outstanding Comedy Series, the 66th Primetime Emmy Awards. In actuality, Modern Family won this award 5 times in consecutive years for the first 5 seasons. While such a fantastic show certainly had to deserve to win at least one of those years, its last actual accolade in the category most rubbed people the wrong way.
Sometimes I don't know if I love how much I fear Claire or fear how much I love her.
On an insular basis, Season 5 is about where many fans mark its inevitable decline in quality, beginning to feel repetitive. Meanwhile, a couple of hugely deserving nominees debuted that year, like Silicon Valley and Orange is the New Black, even if the latter probably should have always been deemed a drama. And while Veep also lost out, it would thankfully replace Modern Family as the Emmys' go-to winner the next 3 years.
Cedar Rapids, here we come.
Oh, Jesus Christ, I hate politics.
Number 11, Marissa Tomei wins Best Supporting Actress, the 65th Academy Awards.
You going hunting?
A lot of people love Marissa Tomei, but even some fans think that her Oscar win for My Cousin Vinny was perhaps undeserved. At the 65th Academy Awards, Tomei was up against many notable actresses, including Judy Davis, Vanessa Redgrave, and Miranda Richardson. Many people believe that Tomei had no chance. After all, she was up against acting titans, and besides, My Cousin Vinny was a comedy, a genre largely ignored by the Academy.
My biological clock is ticking like this, and the way this case is going, I ain't never getting married.
Lisa, I don't need this. I swear to God, I do not need this right now, okay?
People were left so shocked at Tomei's win that a conspiracy theory was started, claiming that the only reason she won was because the presenter read the wrong name. That conspiracy theory haunted Tomei for decades.
Nobody could answer that question.
Number 10. Louis C.K. wins Best Comedy Album, the 64th Annual Grammy Awards. Louis C.K. has always been something of a shock comic, so the fact that he's divisive is nothing new. However, 2017 saw numerous sexual misconduct allegations toward C.K. come to light, to which he admitted fault. This obviously adds a different kind of distasteful connotation to his material, with many unready to accept C.K. back into the public sphere. Regardless, the Grammys saw fit to award C.K. for his comedy album Sincerely Louis C.K., in which he addresses his past transgressions.
In the special, CK addresses the allegations, including the experience of going out in public after they came to light.
We'll likely keep having to debate as to whether one can separate art from artist for years to come, but the fact that many cried foul over this victory proves that many cannot do that with CK yet. Number 9. Macklemore wins Best Rap Album, the 56th Annual Grammy Awards. If Steely Dan's win was the straw that broke the Grammys' back, this upset buried its reputation in the ground. The 56th Grammys Best Rap Album category was absolutely stacked. It featured some great albums like Drake's Nothing Was the Same and Kanye West's Yeezus, but the fan favorite was undeniably Kendrick Lamar's modern masterpiece Good Kid, Mad City. However, the award bafflingly went to radio favorites Macklemore and Ryan Lewis instead. Even Macklemore knew that the award was undeserved, as he texted Kendrick saying, quote, "You got robbed. I wanted you to win. You should have. It's weird and it sucks that I robbed you." Number 8. Shakespeare in Love wins Best Picture, the 71st Academy Awards.
O Romeo, Romeo, wherefore art thou Romeo?
Yeah, the Academy gets it wrong sometimes. While Shakespeare in Love is undeniably a great film, many people felt that Saving Private Ryan was sure to take home the Best Picture trophy. This seemed even more plausible when Steven Spielberg won the award for Best Director, which is usually indicative of an impending Best Picture win. So some were upset, although not surprised, when the Oscar-baity Shakespeare in Love won instead. Many felt that the heavy campaigning by Miramax's Harvey Weinstein resulted in its perhaps undeserved win. It's now seen as one of the biggest Best Picture upsets in Academy history.
I loved the writer and gave up the prize for a sonnet.
I was the more deceived.
Yes, you were deceived.
Number 7. Jethro Tull wins Best Hard Rock Metal Performance, Vocal or Instrumental, the 31st Annual Grammy Awards. This one was so controversial that the Grammys technically only awarded this trophy once. Indeed, when the aforementioned category was created in 1989, many figured it was a way to recognize Metallica's growing popularity. At the very least, other notable artists like AC/DC or Iggy Pop could have won. But instead, Jethro Tull, a band many don't even consider to be in the same genre, took home the award. That is, they would have had they shown up that night, having been previously told they wouldn't win.
I think she was a middle distance runner. The translation wasn't clear.
The award was met with heavy backlash, pun intended, with many attributing it to the Grammys' disconnect with the music public. The category was promptly split afterwards, henceforth recognizing both hard rock and metal separately. Number 6. Crash wins Best Picture, the 78th Academy Awards.
Ma'am, Are you hurt?
While the Shakespeare in Love Saving Private Ryan debacle is infamous, it has nothing on the Crash Brokeback Mountain upset of 2006. Many people thought that Brokeback Mountain was the movie to beat, as it had swept the preceding award season. Even presenter Jack Nicholson was visibly stunned when Crash was announced as the Best Picture winner.
So, give me my money. What? What money?
It was immediately called the biggest upset in Oscar history, and some people blamed the conservative members of the Academy for choosing the comparatively safer option. A 2015 poll of a portion of voters later crowned Brokeback Mountain the winner. The movie's writer and director Paul Haggis has openly admitted his belief that Crash was undeserving of the win.
You embarrass me. You embarrass yourself.
Number 5. Will Smith wins Best Actor, the 94th Academy Awards. The controversy around this one has nothing to do with performance quality, as Will Smith was already the odds-on favorite to win for his impressive performance in King Richard.
And I just never wanted you to look up and see your daddy running away.
However, it was Smith's behavior at the ceremony prior to his victory announcement that sullied the proceedings. After presenter Chris Rock made a joke about Smith's wife Jada, Smith took to the stage and slapped the comedian on live television before angrily cursing him out. Obviously, the Best Actor ballot was already set in stone, but many criticized the decision to let him stay and accept the award.
My actions were shocking, painful, and inexcusable. I betrayed the trust of the Academy. I deprived other nominees and winners of their opportunity to celebrate and be celebrated for their extraordinary work. I am heartbroken. I am resigning from membership in the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences. Smith can still be nominated for future work, but he loses many perks.
As of this publication, the fallout is still developing, but Smith's subsequent resignation from the Academy speaks volumes as to how damaging his actions were. Number 4. Adele wins Album of the Year, the 59th Annual Grammy Awards.
25. Adele.
Adele is practically untouchable, but a lot of people were left upset when she won over Beyoncé at the 2017 Grammy Awards. The Album of the Year category contained Sturgill Simpson, Drake, Justin Bieber, Adele, and fan favorite Beyoncé, whose Lemonade was one of 2017's biggest pop culture releases. It was Metacritic's second highest ranking album of the year, and it won a prestigious Peabody Award in the entertainment category. Number 3. Casey Affleck wins Best Actor, the 89th Academy Awards.
Hey, Lee. Is he dead?
In a wide break from tradition, this Best Actor win isn't controversial because people think it should have gone to someone else, but because of Affleck's past and personal life. Casey Affleck won the prestigious Oscar in 2017 for his stellar performance in Manchester by the Sea, but many people felt it was undeserved due to allegations by co-workers of sexual, physical, and verbal misconduct in 2010. Presenter Brie Larson even refused to clap when Affleck won the award, stating that her intentions were obvious. The topic grew even more controversial following the Me Too campaign, and Affleck pulled out of presenting the Best Actress award at the 2018 Oscars due to the fervent backlash.
I don't understand.
Number 2. Milli Vanilli wins Best New Artist, the 32nd Annual Grammy Awards. Regardless of the controversies, the recipients in every other entry can at least say they actually contributed to the material that got them nominated in the first place. Milli Vanilli, however, cannot.
There are a lot of artists here in this room, there are a lot of artists outside in the world who can achieve the same award that we achieved today. And it's an award for all artists in the world. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Indeed, in what is hands down the greatest controversy in Grammy's history, the German-French R&B duo was awarded Best New Artist at the 1990 ceremony. About 7 months later, however, it came to light that neither performer had actually sung on their North American debut album, Girl You Know It's True.
Girl, you know it's true. I love you. Yes, you know it's true. I love you.
Not only did this spark the artist's downfall, but their award was promptly rescinded, marking the first time the Grammys have ever done so. Number 1. Roman Polanski wins Best Director, the 75th Academy Awards.
No one plays Chopin like you.
I hope that's a compliment.
Of course, I mean it.
Who knows? Trying to be funny.
Polanski won the award for Best Director in 2003 for his work on the admittedly fantastic The Pianist. However, Polanski couldn't come to the US to accept the award due to long-standing charges of sexual misconduct with an underage teenager. In the late 70s, Polanski was facing up to 50 years in prison, so he fled to France and was protected from extradition. However, many figures in Hollywood defended Polanski, and he received a standing ovation after winning the Academy Award. Many people saw the win and enthusiastic reaction as one of the most disgusting moments in Hollywood history, and it has been a major target of the Me Too campaign.
Must feel better on this side of the wall, huh?
Yes. But sometimes I'm still not sure which side of the wall I'm on.
It's not uncommon for the celeb-infused audience at award shows to end the night with their feathers a little ruffled. Between the host and some outspoken presenters, the proceedings can actually turn into a bit of a roast. So here now are times celebs got burned at award shows.
Ouch. Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 savage celebrity roasts at award shows.
Your character's name in Creed is Adonis, and it is apt.
Oh my God, yes, cut to him crying off that. I want to get the meme.
For this list, we're looking at those times public figures were absolutely annihilated by pointed zingers at their expense during award shows. However, we won't be including jokes aimed at entire industries or organizations like Hollywood or the Hollywood Foreign Press Association. Number 10. Joe Pesci, the 77th Golden Globe Awards. There's nothing quite like mixing topical memes with older celebrities. At the Golden Globes, host Ricky Gervais, not exactly known for holding back,
You'll be pleased to know this is the last time I'm hosting these awards, so I don't care anymore.
Purposely and jokingly confused the diminutive Joe Pesci with Baby Yoda, perhaps pop culture's cutest and most popular character.
Legends, icons, yeah? Look, at this table alone, Al Pacino, Robert De Niro, but... Baby Yoda. Oh, that's Joe Pesci, sorry.
Now, there's nothing inherently wrong with Baby Yoda. We all love Baby Yoda. But when you're in your mid-70s and happen to be one of the most accomplished actors of the last half-century, that comparison's gotta sting. Then again, at least he wasn't called a fat pussy like James Corden.
The world got to see James Corden as a fat pussy. He was also in the movie Cats, but no one saw that.
Number 9. James Franco, the 70th Golden Globe Awards. If you didn't watch the 2011 Academy Awards, then you missed one of the all-time greatest live TV fiascos. Seriously, that thing was a goldmine of cringe. And most of it stemmed from awkward and robotic co-host James Franco. Franco single-handedly ruined the entire night, while also making his co-host Anne Hathaway look bad. Luckily, she found some solace at the 2013 Golden Globes.
The beautiful Anne Hathaway is here tonight. Anne Hathaway, you gave a stunning performance in Les Miserables.
While praising her award-winning performance in Les Miserables, host Tina Fey stated that she hadn't seen someone, quote, so alone and abandoned since watching Hathaway host the Oscars with James Franco.
I have not seen someone so totally alone and abandoned like that since you were on stage with James Franco at the Oscars.
All Anne could do was hang her head and try to hide a smile. She knew Tina was right, she just didn't want to show it. Number 8. Mark Burnett, the 68th Primetime Emmy Awards. Whether you love him, hate him, or somewhere in between, Donald Trump's presidency is historic, and both the issues and motivations behind his election will be studied for generations. The reasons are plentiful and cannot be aimed solely at one thing or person. But Jimmy Kimmel thinks we should target Mark Burnett.
He's sitting right there. That's right. That guy. Mark Burnett. The man who brought us Celebrity Apprentice.
Burnett is the sole creator of The Apprentice, the show that made Donald Trump a reality TV sensation and arguably helped lead to his election.
Thanks to Mark Burnett, We don't have to watch reality shows anymore because we're living in one. Thank you, Mark.
Kimmel singled out Mark Burnett at the 2016 Emmy Awards and directly blamed him for the Donald Trump phenomenon. After a lengthy rebuking, Kimmel claimed that Mark Burnett should be thrown over, quote, the wall if Donald Trump were to be elected. Well, we now know how that turned out.
You sneaky little crumpet muncher, you. Who do you have lined up to fill the spot on the Supreme Court, Miley Cyrus or CeeLo? I'm going on the record right now. He's responsible. If Donald Trump gets elected and he builds that wall, the first person we're throwing over it is Mark Burnett.
Number 7. Some famous Scientologists. The 68th Golden Globe Awards. Scientology is a touchy subject of discussion for many people. But then again, this is Ricky Gervais we're talking about here. The Golden Globes host referenced the movie I Love You, Philip Morris, in which straight actors Jim Carrey and Ewan McGregor portray gay characters.
How did you do this? I know a guy. Took care of it. I'm gonna take care of everything.
He then says,
also not nominated, I Love You, Philip Morris, Jim Carrey and Ewan McGregor, 2 heterosexual actors pretending to be gay. So the complete opposite of some famous Scientologists then.
You can tell from Ricky's face that he was nervous about telling the joke, and for good reason. It elicited audible gasps, groans, and some boos from the audience.
What? Probably. My lawyers helped me with the wording of that joke.
We don't know who Gervais was referring to specifically, but we're sure you have your assumptions. Number 6. Roseanne Barr, the 70th Primetime Emmy Awards. The 2018 Emmys were not especially memorable from a comedy standpoint, but hosts Colin Jost and Michael Che came equipped with at least one certifiable zinger. And it came at the expense of Roseanne Barr.
She's had a rough year.
Yeah. Just 4 months before the ceremony, Roseanne made an extremely controversial tweet aimed at former President Obama's senior advisor Valerie Jarrett.
Anytime something bad happens, it's always somebody who lives next door to somebody.
Barr was quickly fired by ABC, and the revived Roseanne was canceled. The hosts briefly mentioned the controversy and joked that the show was later, quote, picked up by white nationalists.
Last Man Standing was canceled by ABC and then picked up by Fox.
That's right.
Which is great.
That's right. And Roseanne was canceled by herself, but picked up by white nationalists.
Oh.
There's no denying that is a powerful burn.
You know, I heard Roseanne is actually moving to Israel.
Wow.
I mean, damn. How messed up is your life when you have to go to the Middle East just to get peace of mind?
Number 5. Robert Downey Jr., the 68th Golden Globe Awards. Robert Downey Jr. had a comeback for the ages. He's one of the most beloved actors in Hollywood thanks primarily to his work in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. But things weren't looking so hot for the actor for quite a spell before that. And Ricky Gervais, yep, him again, isn't the type of comedian to forgive and forget.
He's the star of Iron Man, 2 Girls and a Guy, Wonder Boys. Sorry, these porn films. What? Kiss Kiss Bang Bang.
While introducing Downey, Gervais made fun of his ostensibly racy-sounding movie titles and declared that the audience probably knew him best from the Betty Ford Clinic and Los Angeles County Jail.
But many of you in this room probably know him best from such facilities as the Betty Ford Clinic and Los Angeles County Jail. Please welcome Robert Downey Jr.
Luckily, Downey is the coolest dude ever and seemed to take the jab in stride, even clapping back.
Aside from the fact that it's been hugely mean-spirited with mildly sinister undertones, I'd say the vibe of the show is pretty good so far, wouldn't you?
Number 4. James Cameron, the 70th Golden Globe Awards. James Cameron is one of the most creative and innovative directors of all time, but by most accounts, he is a real pain to work with. Many people have reported difficulties working with Cameron, calling out his intense temper, annoying perfectionism, enormous ego, and confrontational mannerisms.
For 3 years, while making the most ambitious film ever, Cameron weathered rumors that he was a tyrant on the set and that he and his costly obsession were out of control.
So, while praising Cameron's ex-wife, noted director Catherine Bigelow, for her film Zero Dark 30, which delved into big issues like war and torture, Amy Poehler let loose with a brilliantly pointed barb about James Cameron, evoking an uproarious reaction from the audience.
I haven't really been following the controversy over Zero Dark 30, but when it comes to torture, I trust the lady who spent 3 years married to James Cameron.
Perhaps the best individual reaction was from Jessica Chastain, who was quite visibly and hilariously shocked by the comparison. Number 3, Bill Maher, the 69th Primetime Emmy Awards. With a host like Stephen Colbert, you should expect a fair share of political jokes. But it wasn't just the politicians facing Colbert's wrath, it was also the political commentators. Colbert listed off the night's many African-American nominees, including Jeffrey Wright, Viola Davis, and, well, Bill Maher.
And there's so many talented African-American nominees. Jeffrey Wright, Viola Davis, and of course, Bill Maher.
Obviously, Maher is not African-American, but Colbert opined that he thought Maher should count due to his use of the N-word. For those who don't know or remember, Maher infamously dropped the word on his show Real Time.
Got to get to Nebraska more. You're welcome. We'd love to have you work in the fields with us.
Work in the field?
That's part of that. That's...
Senator, I'm a house. No, it's a joke.
The audience reacted favorably to Colbert's joke, but the funniest reaction came from Anthony Anderson, whose cackling was very hearty.
I assume he's black since he's so comfortable using the N-word. I don't know.
Number 2, George Clooney, the 72nd Golden Globe Awards. The 2015 Golden Globes were supposed to be George Clooney's night, as he was being honored with the esteemed Cecil B. DeMille Award.
Of course, George Clooney is here to receive the prestigious Cecil B. DeMille Lifetime Achievement Award. Or is he?
But Tina Fey and Amy Poehler brought him and his accomplishments down a peg. They unfavorably compared Clooney to his wife Amal Alamuddin and her accomplishments, like being a human rights lawyer and working with the United Nations.
George Clooney married Amal Alamuddin this year. Amal is a human rights lawyer who worked on the Enron case, was an advisor to Kofi Annan regarding Syria, and was selected for a 3-person UN commission investigating rules of war violations in the Gaza Strip. So tonight, her husband is getting a Lifetime Achievement Award.
It was a scathing take on congratulatory entertainment award shows, and it could have done some real damage to a lesser actor's ego. Luckily, Clooney seems to be a humble man and tilted his head in agreeable acknowledgement. And this wasn't even the first time Fey and Poehler had taken a dig at him either.
It's the story of how George Clooney would rather float away into space and die than spend one more minute with a woman his own age.
Let me ask you something. Do you prefer when the person is kind of in on the joke? Or do you like it when they're roasted and really deserve it? Well, we'll let you make up your own mind about number 1, but before we cringe at the most savage celebrity roast at an award show, let's look at some brutal honorable mentions.
Without a host, who would sit behind a desk and pretend to be interested in Jason Bateman's vacation stories?
Oh, you swam with dolphins? How fascinating.
Is that Matthew McConaughey right here? That is. You got so fat since the Oscars, I almost didn't recognize you. Why is Matthew McConaughey nominated for a television award? Matthew McConaughey doesn't even own a television. I happen to know for a fact that he traded his television for a conch shell full of weed. I mean, don't get me wrong, you were...
Woody.
No, that wasn't Woody. Woody's a television guy.
Quentin Tarantino is here, the star of all my sexual nightmares.
Do you like Adele songs but find them too upbeat? You're in for a treat, as Sam Smith will be performing.
Number 1, Mel Gibson, multiple Golden Globe Awards. Gibson has been the subject of Gervais's jabs for years, stemming all the way back to the 2010 show, where Gervais took a stab at Gibson's alcoholism.
It's not my fault. There's a lot of powerful people here, so if I said it's... Honestly, I like a drink as much as the next man. Unless the next man is Mel Gibson.
Things got even worse the next year, when Gervais joked about Gibson's history with anti-Semitism while introducing Jewish actress Scarlett Johansson.
Our first presenter is beautiful, talented, and Jewish, apparently. Mel Gibson told me that. He's obsessed. Please welcome Scarlett Johansson.
Ricky found himself in a tight spot at the 2016 awards as he was forced to introduce Gibson yet again.
And I blame NBC for this terrible situation. Mel blames... We know who Mel blames. Listen, I still feel a bit bad for it, right? Mel's forgotten all about it, apparently. That's what drinking does.
He acknowledged the awkwardness while still taking jabs at Gibson's drinking. And he ended the ordeal by asking Gibson what his epithet meant. This seemed to be the final straw, as Gibson was left visibly distressed and annoyed by the question. You gotta hand it to Gervais. He knows how to push buttons.
Thanks, Ricky, for your input.
All right, well, that's going to do it for this special look at award show controversies. Thanks for watching them all with me. I've been Matt from Watch Mojo, and I'll see you next time.